Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of The Weekly Sting. I am your host, Joe Hutzler. Before we get any further in the show, let's tell you how you can get interactive with us here at Lynchburg Sports. Of course, we're on all social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. You can also find that information at lynchburgsports.com. Let's go ahead and bring in our first guest into the show, Andrew Gauvain of the baseball team. Thanks a lot for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule. Last night, a very big win for you guys down at Fox Field. Took Hampden-Sydney to 11 innings, coming away with a 2-1 win. What did you see in that contest that maybe you guys haven't seen throughout the rest of the year that was different, that allowed you guys to come out with a close win?
We've been battling in every game this year. That's one thing Coach Abel's been happy with, is we never give up. And yesterday, I think the biggest part was Ryan Irby throwing 7 perfect innings. I mean, he did one great job, and that doesn't come along very often.
That's very true there. And that also, I mentioned the close game. You guys haven't done great in close games as of late. 3 of your last 5 losses were by 1 run.
Right.
So to be able to, I know it's late in the season, but to still be able to see that you guys can pull those out, what does that do for confidence on the team?
Oh, yesterday was a huge confidence booster because, like you said, we've been in a lot of close games, and most of them haven't gone in our favor. But to get yesterday, especially in a walk-off fashion, was a real big confidence booster for sure.
What is the toughest part about being in a season like this where things have not gone your all's way and dealing with the youth issues in the beginning and then trying to find out who's good, where, at what positions? What's the most difficult part from a player's perspective?
I think just staying in it mentally. It's very tough on your mind. Baseball is a really mental game. And when it's not going the way you want it to, it's really tough mentally. So staying prepared for every game, keeping your mind in the game despite the score, is probably the most difficult thing.
It would be the toughest part for me, that's for sure. Now, outside of baseball, you obviously have a career, you hope anyway. Once you get out of Lynchburg College, being a senior, you'd like to be a health and physical education professional, and then still want to stay around baseball. What's the love of baseball? Why do you want to be around baseball so much?
I just talked about how grueling it is mentally, but at the same time, I love that mental challenge about baseball, and that's what keeps me in the sport. Coming out of high school, I wasn't recruited by anybody, but I knew I loved baseball enough to at least try out in college, and thankfully I was lucky enough to make it. So
you certainly made it here, and I think it's interesting. You mentioned after school that you have a preference of teaching elementary kids.
Yes.
What's the preference in teaching little snot-nosed kids that are going to be crazy at times? And for me, that would be a tough area to really go into in terms of wanting to deal with kids at that age.
See, I think the younger kids, they still are a little more moldable. You can control them a little bit more, and I think with the younger ones, you get a chance to see them grow more than the older kids. I'll take any position I can get at this point, but I would prefer elementary.
Now, you had a chance to, I guess, find out that more when you were an intern.
Yes.
You actually interned at elementary school.
Yep.
What did you find out going into that that maybe you didn't know that really kind of reaffirmed that, I want to stay in not just the educational world, but I'd like to teach elementary kids?
Yeah. I think teaching at Tomahawk was definitely one of the biggest learning experiences of my life, because like I said, that age group, I could see the growth, from one class to the next, just in skills and how they behave in class. And that growth is what I thrive for. I like to see that in the younger kids.
The other thing that you like to do a lot of is fish.
Yes.
You're wearing a fishing shirt today. You are a diehard fisherman. For me, I love to fish as well. I don't think I love to fish as much as you do, based off of the photos. What is the feeling like? What do you look for when you're fishing? Is it, some people just go out and just want to relax, but there's also, from your perspective, I feel like there's that moment of emotion that is really exciting.
Right. Yeah. It's that moment where I know I've beat the fish. You've tricked it into biting your lure, and I have a group of guys at home that I fish with, and it's pretty competitive as to who can get the biggest one, and that's another thing that keeps me in it is who can catch the bigger fish.
You always want to be competitive.
Right.
As an athlete, you always are looking for ways to stay competitive.
Exactly.
Have you ever thought about in the past or even in the future doing something competitively with fishing at all?
When I was younger, I would fish competitively, in local tournaments and derbies and stuff. But when I got into college, it just got too difficult, with time and stuff like that. I thought about trying to make a career out of it, but it's a long shot for sure.
It's still something that you can pursue no matter how old you get.
Right, exactly.
That's the one beauty about fishing is that it is a lifelong hobby/sport, however you want to look at it. And for you take it as far as even fishing in the winter.
Yes.
And when most people are inside enjoying hot cocoa and the fire, you're out in the frozen lake fishing. What is the drive to do that?
I can't stay away from fishing enough all year, and to go through a whole season without fishing would drive me crazy. So, like I said, I can't stay away from it, and it doesn't matter what time of year I got to be doing it at some point.
What is the biggest fish you've ever caught?
I fish for a northern pike a lot, and I got a 40-inch northern pike.
40 inches?
Yeah.
So that would be across this table, and even then some, probably.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a bigger one, though.
How long did it take you to pull that in?
I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes.
That's it?
Yeah. They fight hard in long runs, but once they know they've been beat, they kind of give up.
They just let it happen?
Yeah.
It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Are you able to eat those?
I don't eat them, no.
Okay.
I practice a lot of catch and release just because, I like the environment and I like to support my fisheries.
That's a good thought. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, man, thank you so much for
having
stopping on
me.
the show. Great time here today, and good luck the rest of the way with baseball season.
Thank you
Finish
so
strong
much.
in your senior year.
We will.
Thanks so much. We'll be right back on the Weekly Sting with our next guest, Sean Ahearn of men's lacrosse.
It's on us, every Hornet, to stand up for one cause, to stand up against sexual assault.
To have the knowledge necessary to identify when sexual assault may occur.
To show integrity when confronted with a domestic violence conflict.
Where consent has not or cannot be given.
To create a community where sexual assault is unacceptable.
To provide service to survivors who need our support.
To embrace diversity and to provide a safe atmosphere for all Hornets.
Regardless of race, sexual orientation, gender, or ability.
To engage others on the importance of sexual assault awareness.
To value the tradition of standing up for others when they reach out.
To be consistent with our message, never wavering what is unacceptable.
It's on us to stand up to sexual assault at Lynchburg College. We are one nation, and it's on us.
It's on us. It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Weekly Sting, live inside the Westover Room in Drysdale Student Center here at Lynchburg College. I'm your host, Joe Hutzler. Before we get to our next guest, let's get to that Hornet trivia question for the week. And this week it's about Don Simmons, who just reached the 500-win mark. In the 11 seasons before Don Simmons took over the softball program, there were 210 wins combined. This week we ask you, who were those coaches before Coach Simmons took over? And we'll get to that in the next segment. Now let's bring in our next guest, Sean Ahearn of men's lacrosse. Thanks for coming on the show, Sean.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's talk about the team right now. You guys are coming off of 2 back-to-back ODAC wins. Of course, the big one against Roanoke, and then on the road earlier this week against Randolph. You got Hampton Sydney on the road this coming Saturday, so 3 straight road games there for you guys. Is there a sense now that you were able to beat Roanoke, who was ranked at the time? You're able to beat a Randolph team that you should beat, that this team is picking up the speed and the necessary success that it needs to push through for a strong finish?
Yeah, definitely. I think we kind of got off to a slow start. Just, it's a different year. We had an awesome year last year. We got a few different guys that have to step up this year. Our defense has been playing great. Maybe it's not the way we wanted to start the season, but Once we get into the ODAC, that's what matters the most. So, I mean, we've had a great past 2 games. This is I think it's the second time this season that we've had back-to-back wins. So now we got the opportunity to get a big win against Hampton-Sydney this weekend, and then we got 3 other tough opponents coming up. So Coach always talks about it. I think the ball is rolling down the hill right now. So we're going to do big things in the next few weeks, definitely.
I like that. I like the way that makes sense. That metaphor makes sense. And you hope to keep it rolling, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Has there been any major changes throughout the season? Obviously, you come into this season after going to the national championship, and you don't feel like you have to maybe change a whole lot. But as the season's gone along, maybe some struggles here and there. Has there been a lot of game plan changes or tweaks to the playbook, if you will, to figure out what's best for this team, not what happened last year?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of changes, just personnel. I mean, with our defense, everything changed, but offensively, I mean, we came back with everyone that we had last year.
Right.
And I think it's just tough this year because Austin Stewart and Aaron Murphy had unbelievable years last year, best careers of their season. So now that teams are starting to realize that, I think they approach things differently, so we have to kind of approach things differently too. So we have been changing a lot of things in the playbook, just trying to see what works best for us. So I think the things that we're putting in now, the personnel we're putting in now, everything's starting to click, so it's working.
Hey, it's a good time as any to start figuring it out and getting hot as we get towards the end of the year. Let's go off the field and let's talk about what you want to do after you graduate. Of course, you'll be graduating in less than a month, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's weird to think about.
Think about that. I got some grief from your dad the other night
I heard about that.
against when you guys were playing Randolph. We mentioned that you wanted to be an accountant, a forensic accountant in the FBI, and we made the assumption, me and Daniel Rowe, that was a safe job in the FBI. But your dad, after the game, was quick to tell us, hey, I've had to go to not so safe areas even as an accountant. Is that something that you look forward to signing up for?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's always been one of my biggest goals. It's a family history. My dad was in the FBI for 29 years, retired, and then my oldest brother is currently in the FBI now. So it's one of those things, like, as you're a kid, you always want to, maybe you're dressing up as like an army man, stuff like that. One of my biggest, like, since I was a young kid, was always wanting to go in the FBI. So definitely exciting. It's going to take me a little while to get to, just because you can't come out of college right away and go into it. But that's one of my biggest goals in life, is to reach that point where I can be in the FBI. I just think it's an awesome opportunity. It's a great job to have.
Right.
It's really cool. I mean, I'll be behind a desk for a few years working to that, and then hopefully I get into the FBI and behind the desk, but then you're also out doing other interesting things.
Yeah, there's always a chance that you could be doing something else. And you get great benefits.
Yes, exactly.
The government benefits are always good.
Yeah.
The accountant thing, is that a family thing as well?
So my dad actually graduated from Rutgers and was an agriculture major. Somehow got his way into the FBI. There's a story behind that. But then he had to go back and he got his degree in accounting. So I kind of came into school knowing that's what I wanted to do, going to the FBI. So I had to pick between the language, which I'm not good at languages, so that was crossed off the list. I tried computer science, realized the first 2 weeks that was not my thing. And accounting's always interested me. I'm always a numbers guy. So
there you go. It's a perfect marriage at that point in time. Well, we're gonna make you one of our guinea pigs here this week as we try a new game.
Okay.
The last couple weeks we've tried a rapid fire game. It's been a big hit, but you gotta spice it up a little bit. So this week we have a thing called sneak attack.
Okay.
And this is how this works. You have an envelope. I have an envelope. Joe and Sean. Okay, right here. So there's yours. Here's mine. Now, I have not seen these words. You have not seen your words. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, he's telling the truth.
I'm interested to see
he's very nervous right now. He's very nervous. I am too, because I have no idea what's about to happen. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take these words out, and we're going to have to put these words into a conversation. Fit them in, okay? So, let me look through them here. I don't know how I'm going to get these in here. Okay, we don't have to guess.
Okay.
What they are. The audience will know what they are when they're watching. And
so you have to come up.
You have to come up. Okay, so I'll start just to give you an example. Okay. So pick this first word. All right. So I have to take this word and put it into a conversation.
Okay.
And then just kind of keep it rolling.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. So Sean, let me ask you a question. You ever thought that story about the kid who got like magic beans and went up a beanstalk and went up to the top of the world? You thought that was a feasible thing, or was that really just something?
Yeah, definitely. I think someone that's really good at that, and probably was that guy climbing the top of the beanstalk, was Nick Cannon. I think.
Nick Cannon?
Yeah, Nick Cannon.
I didn't know that was part of his repertoire.
He's pretty good at it.
He's a pretty talented guy.
Yeah.
He's a very talented guy. Now, I thought that he was going to be someone really involved in that movie Kangaroo Jack. They was talking. I mean, it's music and it's kangaroo, and it seems like something he would do kind of crazy like that. But I guess not.
But I don't know. His favorite animal, I think, was a badger. So he'd be.
So he didn't really. So he didn't
Kangaroos
really.
Were his thing. Badgers.
That's right. Okay, that makes sense. Now, along with the Nick Cannon angle, he likes badgers.
Yeah.
You know what badgers really love? They love shallots.
Sure about that?
Yeah.
I thought they loved doing burpees. Burpees. I think they love doing burpees.
Maybe the badger for Wisconsin. Maybe he likes that. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what to do with this one.
You know what badgers don't do?
What?
They don't meow.
Really?
They don't do that. It's not their thing. They like to growl a little bit.
I think they like to wrangle people like Nick Cannon. I think Nick Cannon, badgers kind of have something there.
I like it.
I have no idea what that conversation was about, but I think that was good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It flowed nicely. Yeah. Great, man. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for playing along. I appreciate it. And good luck the rest of the way,
Thank
man.
you. I appreciate it.
I know that you guys are picking up speed at the right time, so it should be good stuff.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having
me. We'll be right back on the Weekly Sting with Amy Bresson of the softball team. Welcome back, everyone, to the Weekly Sting. I'm your host, Joe Hutzler. Before we go any further, I want to remind you that you need to vote for Amy Bresson as the Hero Sports D3 Softball Player of the Week. You can Google into your Google search that says D3 Hero Softball Sports of the Week, Hero Sports. However you want to label that, it'll take you to the right page and vote for Amy Bresson. The poll closes Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now let's get to our trivia answer. We asked you in the last segment about softball-related question. In the 11 seasons prior to Dawn Simmons taking over the softball program, they had 210 wins. Who were those coaches in that time? Aubrey Moon, who the field is named after now, and Evelyn Vaden, who was here for 2 seasons. In those 11 seasons, they had 210. Coach Simmons, in 17 seasons now, has 500 wins. So she has done a terrific job, both as a player at Lynchburg College and now as a coach. So let's bring in one of the players for Coach Simmons, Amy Bresson. Thank you for coming on the show, first of all.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's a very big week for you with the way things have gone so far. Obviously, started against Ferrum. That's why you're being honored with the Hero of the Week opportunity, and it's only continued since then with the not just the individual play, but the overall play of the team itself. I think some people weren't sure how you guys were going to fare as the season went along because of the youth, but you guys seem to be doing okay.
Oh yeah, it's been very exciting. A lot of the underclassmen have been stepping up big time, and it's really helping us out a lot.
What have you seen from a senior standpoint, from a leader standpoint, that may be the difference between this young team just kind of coasting and trying to figure things out, as opposed to this young team taking the lead and playing better and playing I guess, playing more experience than what it says on the scorecard as them being a freshman or a sophomore?
Well, I think now that we've gotten farther into the season, the underclassmen are getting more comfortable where they are and more confident in their abilities. And at the same point, we're getting more confident in them. Mm-hmm. And that's really helping each other out. And I feel like everyone's just stepping up, and it's being really exciting right now.
With your personal play, with your individual performances right now, has that been a surprise to other people? Has that been a surprise to you, especially this time of the year, just kind of, boom, Bresson's on the scene and you're seeing the ball a lot easier? What's been the difference for you?
The difference for me, honestly, I've been telling myself before the games that I'm just going to go in there and swing hard and see what happens. In the past, I haven't had much playing time, but I think I've really stepped up for my team and for my coach, and the confidence that they hold in me has really helped me out a lot. So I'm really excited by where I am right now, and I feel really confident with the way I've been playing recently.
What do you guys see as a reasonable expectation now? We asked those questions in the beginning of the year, but now that you guys have played together for over half the season, you're deep into ODAC play, you've seen just about every opponent to this point, you know what you're capable of. How far can this team go?
Oh, I see us going really far. The beginning of the season was a little rocky, but I think since ODAC's play has started, we've gotten more comfortable with playing each other, and we realize how good we actually are. We've really busted it open on the offense, which is helping us out a lot. So if we can get our defense right where we need it to be and keeping our offense up, I see us going really far.
Okay, I like that. I want to see that. I want us to be there for when that happens.
Yeah.
Off the field, we've interviewed two seniors before you. Here comes another senior, and it's less than 3 weeks away before cap and gowns are thrown and all that jazz. Mm-hmm. What do you envision yourself doing long term? What is your career goal going into post graduation?
Well, my goal would be to teach health and PE. I'm open to all levels, but I really love the high school level because I really like the classroom health setting as well as the being in the gym, running around for physical education. I would also like to coach high school level, maybe eventually getting to college level.
Is there a certain reason why you like that age group as opposed to others?
The high school group?
Yes.
Yeah, well, the students I think are more relatable. You can really talk to them and get to know them. Sometimes the younger kids, you can't really joke around because they take things really seriously.
Right.
And then also, like I said before, the classroom setting, you don't get that in the elementary school. So I think that would be a pretty interesting thing to do.
Are those things that you learned a lot about in your internship? I mean, was that really something that you benefited from by seeing how all that stuff really does come together? Because it's one thing to learn it in class here. It's another thing to actually experience it.
Right. Before I did my student teaching, I wasn't sure what level I was leaning towards. I started in the elementary school for that last fall, and it was a lot of fun. Students just want to play. And then when I got to the high school level, it was the same thing. They wanted to play, and they liked the games that I came up with. And then being in that classroom, it kind of like pushed me up, and I really enjoyed that, and creating fun activities that you can do in that seated session, and it was just a lot of fun.
Makes sense. That makes perfect sense. You on the side, other hobbies that you have. One was kind of interesting to me, which I guess if you're from Maryland, it's not really that big of a deal, but collecting crab shells. Now you don't just collect them and throw them in a box. Do you paint them? Like you make it a craft?
Yeah. So being from Maryland, obviously crabs were a good dinner that we like to get, and I worked at a crab shack, so we had it pretty often. And it started last summer, I think. I decided to keep the shells that we had and painted different things on it, Maryland flag, different flowers or team mascots, and I've given them out as gifts, and it's just a fun thing to do.
Just something else to take your mind elsewhere and use some creative freedom too. So that is really cool. I like that. Something else interesting that I saw when you sent all of your stuff in for today's show was the trip you took after 5th grade to basically the better part of Europe. And that part wasn't really intriguing except the fact that you went with people to people. I also went with people to people to a bunch of places as well, which was an amazing experience, especially at that age when you're around the 13, 14, 15 age group. to experience a whole nother area and a new culture. When you look back on that, what do you take away from those trips? What did you learn when you went to another part of the world?
Well, first I was really lucky to be able to do that trip, and I just thought it was really interesting how we were able to go through the different areas that we went to in England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, where I went. We got to see the culture that people live there, and being that young, you don't really think about the world besides where you are.
Right.
So I think it was really cool that I got to go out and experience different types of cultures.
What was your favorite food that you tasted?
Favorite food?
Was it kind of similar?
It was a little similar. The last day we were there, we actually went to Planet Hollywood, so it wasn't very special. But
right.
The first day we got there, we had it's called shepherd's pie.
Oh, yes.
That was really good.
Yes, love some shepherd's pie. If anybody wants to make us shepherd's pie, please just go ahead and send that on, because that stuff is very, very good. Well, Amy, thank you so much for coming on the show this week. I really appreciate it. Good luck in the voting, the Hero of the Week, but more importantly, good luck with the rest of the season moving forward. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Weekly Sting. Remember to vote for Amy Bresson, Hero Sports D3 Softball Player of the Week. Go to Google, type in D3 Softball Player of the Week, Hero Sports. Find it, vote as much as you can between now and Monday at 3 p.m. That's going to do it for this week's show. We'll see you same time, same place next week.